Hi guys and welcome back to another Continental Club where joining me to talk about the hottest topics in European football is my Dutch lover, it's Patrick van Straten, and the man on the end there with the handlebar moustache. We are doing November, we know we look like dicks. It's Michael McLaughlin.
Howdy.
Let's dive straight into our first question, Woody apparently. It comes from Sam O'Gara and he's asked, what do you think will be the biggest upset slash surprise in the top 5 leagues / Champions League this season? Pato, I know you're going to take us to La Liga for your answer, aren't you?
Yeah, I think you've got to look at Valencia here. Valencia currently sitting second in the Spanish league. And I think we all thought they'd improve when they got in Marcelino as coach in the summer, but we didn't know they'd improve by this much. There was some clever transfer business. Brought in Kondogbia on loan, obviously saw João Cancelo go the other way to Inter Milan. But basically, and we've talked about this before, a manager is the one signing you can make that will make every player better. Gonzalo Guedes has come in on loan from PSG. Obviously, he's extremely young. He's been incredible so far this season. Simone Zaza has turned from a donkey into one of the best strikers in Europe right now. Yeah. Everything he hits is going in. He's just changed his shot locations, getting closer to goal. They're getting him incredibly good chances, and he's finishing them. It just shows that when we say a player is bad or a player has bad output, quite often it's not that they've got no talent. It might sometimes just be that they're in the wrong system or they've got the wrong coach for them. I think they've been really impressive. Marcelino's great at putting in a midfield structure and a defensive structure as well. I say that though, they beat Betis, I think 6-3 a few weeks ago. So that was a bit more of a kind of just an all-out brawl, really. So you could punch themselves out first. But I'm really impressed by them, and it reminds me of Valencia when they were good. It reminds me of Valencia, not so much in the days of Benitez, but in Nuno Espirito Santo a couple of seasons ago. I think that it's really exciting to see Valencia get back to the top of Spanish football. I'd love to see them in the Champions League, and even if Atleti and Real Madrid catch them up and overtake them, which we'd probably expect, finishing 4th would be a massive result for a club which last season and the season before looked like relegation was a genuine possibility.
Yes, things are on the up at the Mestalla, aren't they? Especially when Simone Zaza is scoring with every second shot he has on target. Incredible figures, unsustainable, but hilarious nonetheless. McCubbin, what have you got for us?
Yeah, well, over in Italy, things are getting pretty spicy as well, aren't they? I'd say, Serie A, probably the most open, almost definitely the most open league in Europe this season. And in particular, Lazio have been a bit of a surprise package. Obviously, Inter as well have done very well, but that's kind of to be expected with the signing of Spalletti as manager.
The surprise there was that they actually got him, right? Because he's a phenomenal calibre of manager.
Yeah, for sure. And Roma's performance in the aftermath has dropped off a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Lazio, especially considering they lost one of their great attacking assets in Keita Balde over the summer, have been on fire. Like in particular, Ciro Immobile, in the form of his life, contributed 20 goals in 11 games, which is unreal. I think you were saying that's what the best record in Europe's top 5 leagues.
Yeah, I think it is.
So yeah, pretty amazing stuff there. Whether they can stay the course for the whole season, whether Immobile can keep up that kind of form remains to be seen. But in general, Serie A actually seems to be a pretty open competition this year, which is not what we've been able to say in the last few years. Which is it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I find Simone Inzaghi as a manager to be a fascinating character. He's really brought that club back from the depths. I think when he took over as caretaker manager after Pioli, he instilled a bit of solidity, and then obviously they had the whole Bielsa fiasco where he came in, left 2 days after, and then almost as an afterthought yet again, he was brought into the role. And they're playing with an attacking fluidity now, a defensive solidity. They're switching pretty judiciously between a back 3 and a back 4 this season, which is amazing when you kind of think of the players. There's not been wholesale changes. He's just got the best out of the likes of De Vrij, out of the likes of Luis Alberto, the former Liverpool cast-off. As you said, getting the best out of Ciro Immobile. I think him and Keita Balde got 39 goals between them last season. And Immobile, his career was stuttering, wasn't it? After periods at Dortmund and Sevilla, was it? Yeah. But I mean, I've been doing some reading on him recently, Simone Inzaghi, and apparently his burgeoning career as a manager was never in doubt. players used to refer to him as the almanac. Like the calendar, because it has this ability just to store large amounts of information. And he captained Pipo, his older brother, Pipo Inzaghi, when he was 8 and Pipo was 11. Leadership instilled into him. But no, I mean, if they can top 5th, which they achieved last year, and they got a cup final as well, eventually losing to Juventus, didn't they? That'd be some achievement. That'd definitely go down as my surprise. I think at the moment, where are they? 4th? Yeah. And they've already beat Juve in the Super Cup.
And they've got a game in hand on the teams above them.
Game in hand. Then they'll be in with a real fighting chance for European football. And I mean, the drop-off of the Milans has inevitably helped the rise of Lazio, hasn't it? But he's done miraculous work, and I think he deserves all the plaudits he's getting. But guys, what is your biggest surprise? Let us know in the comments below. Next question comes from the aptly named Swedehead, and he's asked, lads, should Zlatan come out of retirement for the World Cup now Sweden have qualified, now being the operative word in that sentence? Because it would be somewhat of a dick move, wouldn't it? However, he did hint at it in social media, did he not?
He did indeed, yeah. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. I mean, it's nothing that special, but it's quite funny. Yes, Zlatan posting a picture of the Sweden squad celebrating qualification for the World Cup with the caption, "We are Sweden," with a Z, may I add.
That what you will.
So, essentially just putting his name on the hard work of others. He had no input at all in that qualification process.
I almost admire his audacity.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, it is utterly ridiculous. Strange behaviour, but you kind of come to expect it of him. But yeah, whether it would be a good move for him, I mean, sure. I mean, like Sweden look pretty good at the moment. He could, maybe add, maybe he could, but then maybe again, like maybe they could, he'd be a good man for them to utilise in the tournament. Obviously retired after Euro 2016, scored 62 goals in 116 international appearances before. Like, as we all know, like especially over the last 3 or 4 years, his scoring record has been pretty outstanding for someone of his age, especially. But yeah, like you were saying, he definitely could upset the apple cart. Obviously, Sweden have a new skipper now, and Andreas Grankvist. Someone with his kind of ego and his kind of leadership mentality, I guess, with Ibrahimovic could definitely upset that. Like, I mean, for example, like last year when he was signed by Man United, who all things considered were in somewhat of a crisis after Van Gaal, he was a real positive because there wasn't really a big leader in that dressing room.
Yeah.
Whereas Sweden, you look at now, and you look at their record now. Do they really need? I don't know if they really need.
But as you've just said, Manchester United are in crisis, whereas Sweden's squad seems pretty harmonious. Yeah. You could say they've already overperformed, coming second in a group that contained France and the Netherlands. Obviously helps that the Netherlands are playing like absolute trash at the moment. You had the whole Dick Advocat debacle where he said Sweden won't put 8 past Luxembourg. They did put 8 past Luxembourg. Marcus Berg scoring 4 of those. I think he scored 8, ending as Group A's top goal scorer, above the likes of Robin and Griezmann, which is amazing. Maybe he'd have something to say if Zlatan Ibrahimovic came out of retirement. But yeah, why risk, as I said, upsetting the apple cart? This is a team who outscored France in qualification, which is crazy when you consider the firepower that Les Bleus have. I think they put 8 more. They scored 8 more, than them. Only 5 teams in European qualification scored more goals than Sweden. And they're just like more than the sum of their parts, aren't they? Especially with Lustig, the top houser in the squad.
Oh my God. Well, this is the thing though, they've got a plan, haven't they? They've got a plan. This is what you noticed when they played against Italy. Italy had no plan, Sweden did. So the individuals in a way mattered less. I mean, look, Zlatan is very, very talented and would certainly be a useful person to have in that squad, so long as he's going to do what they tell him to do. The problem with Zlatan sometimes is, firstly, he can only play a particular way. He's not going to run in behind. He's not going to work the channels because he can't anymore. He just hasn't got the athletic ability left at his age. What he can do is basically drop in and play as a sort of, hold up number 10 all-rounder, like really creative. But then that might take the ball away from Forsberg, who is, at this point, one of Europe's best creators. I just don't know why he's making it all about him. If he came out of retirement now and I was in that Swedish squad, I just think he was a dickhead. Like, they're realistically not going to win the World Cup. So he'd just be coming back as a bit of a kind of ego trip. But that's what he's always about. every now and then just a stupid story will come out on social media where he calls himself like God or calls himself a lion or something, but he isn't. He's not even the best Swedish striker of the last 20 years. Like, he's a very, very good player. He's had an outstanding last kind of 5 years. However, I don't know, there'd be the part of me that if I were like Granqvist and I was the new captain and Ibrahimovic came back into that squad, I'd think he's not going to do what we tell him to do and he's going to make it all about him. And frankly, I think those Swedish players deserve to be the story. I don't think the story should be Zlatan. So Zlatan is my feeling. I think he's a cock.
I think
I've always hated him.
The majority of that was fair. However, could he have the same impact in that dressing room, bring a bit of nous to the national setup like he did with Manchester United? Or do you think the negatives outweigh? I'm guessing you think the negatives outweigh the positives.
Well, I'm not sure. I think.
And quick question, sorry, before you crack on. You were talking about Henrik Larsson as Sweden's best.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Obviously.
Like Henrik Larsson's like the first like world-class player they'd produced since like Thomas Brolin. But anyway, like, I mean, look, I think that this is super overrated. Like this idea of like, oh, a bit of nous in the dressing room or whatever. It's like they've beaten France, like you said. They've beaten Italy. Like they're a solid unit. And I think that often this idea of like, oh, he'll bring some experience in. What, his experience of failing with Sweden for years, like as an international player? Of course, he's an experienced player, and maybe that would give the players a lift. But right now, the players don't look like players who need a lift to me. They look like players who are delighted at the achievements that they've managed to put together as a team, you know, not just powered by one individual.
It's funny as well that, like, actually, if you look over the last 10 years of like Sweden's performances in international tournaments or whatever, I can't pull out any stats or anything, but since Zlatan has been the main man, they generally haven't done so well.
Well, the last time I can remember them making a dent in a tournament is Euro 2004.
Yeah, was that when Larson's
diving header.
And then Zlatan was there, but he still wasn't the main man.
Yeah, they had Ljungberg, they had Patrick Anderson back then. You know, like they had quality all around the squad. I don't know. Like, look, is he a good player? Yeah. Is he going to make the difference? Like, between what and what? You know, between the first round and the second round, between the second round and the quarters. Realistically, nobody expects him to get that far.
If there's a player on the peripheries who hasn't been central to qualification and if they've swapped out with people as the various squads have been announced, and Zlatan comes in for that person who doesn't have as much invested in the squad as the starting 11 or the 16, 17 players that have been used, then okay, you can see why that might happen. Especially if Zlatan has a decent 6 months for Manchester United when he returns. However, he's not going to be the main man at Manchester. He's going to be a backup option for the Red Devils, isn't he? To stake his place in the team, you'd say he's got to have a pretty exceptional tail end to the season in the Premier League. And will that chance arise? Probably not. He could potentially be picked on balance on his output at club level, right? And that'd be fair if he came back and performed really well. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. Are you? Let us know in the comments below. Last question comes from Toffee Packer, and he's asked, should Marco Silva be given the Everton job, or should he hold out for a better one? Pretty damning from someone who is clearly an Everton fan. Michael McCubbin, what do you make of the Watford manager first and foremost? What do you think to the job he's doing at Vicarage Road? And should he take up the Everton job if presented with the opportunity?
Yeah, well, I mean, Marco Silva's track record in England has been pretty astounding since he came in January. Obviously, did really well with Hull despite everything kind of playing against him.
Had a great home record with him.
Yeah, I don't think maybe he only lost once or didn't lose at all. And since he's coming at Watford, he's also similarly been very impressive. Look at the improvement of a player like Decore. Bringing in Richarlison as well. He's been fantastic. Just generally, they've looked very strong, even in games where they haven't won. I think they did win in the Arsenal game, didn't they? But just generally in every game I've seen them play, they haven't looked phased at all. So he's very, very good at just utilising his players and just making a team that functions very, very well. I remember the first Hull game that he was in charge of, and they'd been absolutely appalling up until that point, was a League Cup semi-final against Man United back in January, and instantly in one game they looked better. Like they just looked like they could actually play football, take on teams.
Well, he's the hallmark of one of his sides has been defensive solidity, hasn't it? And he looks like he can set out a very competent defence. And Watford have been very impressive on the counter-attack this season and actually have genuine pace and strength in their team now. They've signed Andre Gray, Richarlison as well, of course, coming in off the other flank. So yeah, they've looked extremely dangerous. But the question is, Pato, is he better than Everton? And what could he do with that squad at current? What changes need to be made to bring them back into the right half of the Premier League table?
Well, the squad's are unbalanced,
Yeah.
but it's not talentless. Like, there's plenty of talent in it. There's really good midfield talent. In fact, Schneiderlin, Gay, Klaassen, this is pretty exciting stuff. Barkley will come back at some point as well, and he does have a use, as much as we take the piss about him. I think that they definitely need to have some pace on the wings. That's going to be a problem for them. Morales is always a little bit unreliable. Lookman is very young. Bolassi's still coming back from injury. But basically not making kind of stupid, obvious errors. Like, it's remarkable to me how many managers have tried to do this Wayne Rooney playing in midfield thing, given how obviously bad at it he is. Wayne Rooney is a really good striker, and if you played him as a centre forward, basically the way that Defoe has been played the last few years, just as a poacher, don't expect him to run the channels, don't expect him to do, to drop into midfield, don't expect him to kind of go out wide. He'll get you goals. He's a great finisher.
Though? Because he's hardwired just to run around the pitch like a madman at times, isn't he?
He can do it. He did it in a couple of seasons at United. Like, one of his best seasons at United was when he was played pretty much as a conventional 9. And that was the season, I think he got something like 27 in the league, something like that.
15 with his head, I think.
Yeah. Because he's an incredible aerial presence. His hold-up play is surprisingly good. He's really two-footed. I mean, Wayne Rooney's an incredibly talented player and a really good finisher, and he could basically be the champagne version of Defoe. But you've got to stop playing him at number 10. I mean, if I were Marco Silva, I'd probably hold out for a better job. I think that Everton is a decent job in normal circumstances, but I wouldn't want it now given the state the squad's in and how much money they've just spent. I think that Dortmund will probably be looking for a coach in the next couple of years because Boss isn't great. I think that you can normally get a job in Italy. Eusebio Di Francesco not doing too well at the moment. Montella, rumours that he's a little bit... I don't know, disliked by the kind of Milan club hierarchy. So I don't know. Maybe he should wait and see what's around. And Oscar Garcia looks like he's leaving Saint-Etienne, so maybe he could end up as Everton manager. He's quite an interesting guy.
One of the huge positives about the Everton job, though, as you just said, they did invest a lot of money, but now they are bankrolled by an Israeli billionaire. There will be more money to reinvest to balance that squad out. Now, they bought like 3 number 10s, didn't they? But, as you said again, they've got a good base in midfield with Idrissa Gueye, one of the outstanding defensive midfielders in the Premier League. You have Morgan Schneiderlin, who's been one of the outstanding passers in the Premier League the last few seasons. Sandro was bought in. He was a little bit of a gamble, but it didn't cost a lot of money, did they? But he's their only, at the minute, conventional number 9. So when Koeman says, Giroud's signing was sort of make or break for me, if we had him we would have been fine, it's like, okay, I agree, and his skill set would have ticked a lot of boxes, but how are you allowing yourself to spend 200 million and be in that situation? So yeah, I think they need a bit of genuine pace, they need a centre forward, and they've got to stop playing people like Calvert-Lewin as auxiliary fullbacks. Jordan Pickford was a good signing. He looks like he's going to be a fantastic goalkeeper, even though they're probably still overpaid for him. But the defence is ageing as well, isn't it? Jagielka, Williams at centre-back. Michael Keane hasn't quite been the player I think they thought he might be when they bought him from Everton for the princely sum of, 35?
I think a little bit less.
Yeah, I think a little less.
I think defence has been their main issue, hasn't it? I think that's where, in terms of their squad,
they've been missing John Stones now for a couple of years.
You can't play a back 3 as well with that defence. Like, they're too old. You just can't. Like, they're the team possibly more than any other team in the country that I look at them and I say, why are you playing 3 at the back? You don't have the talent for it. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's almost as if Koeman was just trying to paper over the cracks a little bit. But guys, poll. Should Marco Silva go to Everton? Click yes or no, and then let us know what you'd do to fix Everton in the comments below. So that was this week's Continental Club, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. What should we talk about next week? Get at the 3 of us on all these social media platforms popping up below. Guys, what's going on in the Football Daily universe?
FDFC tomorrow. the big match, I believe.
It,
Well, not FDFC, but EFD versus FD.
it's the 18th.
The biggest match of
Yes,
all.
it is, is it? Oh, right, okay.
I mean, we didn't rehearse that, but it's the 18th. Yeah, and what
Yeah.
else, Pat?
Over on 90 plus 1 facts, we've got 90 plus 1 facts about derbies. So there's going to be lots of information about the North
I thought you said
London
Derby.
derby. Yeah, about Derby County, mate.
Oh,
Everything you could
mate.
possibly want to know about Derby County. Yeah, so right in time for the Madrid derby and the North London derby, you can find out everything you could possibly want to know and probably some other stuff.
Farewell.